Welcome to Manufacturing the Workforce of Tomorrow, a new minicast brought to you by SME. I'm your host, Toni Neary, Director of Community Engagement and Workforce Innovation. In this minicast, we're going to dive deep into workforce development, exploring challenges, opportunities, and solutions that are shaping the future of manufacturing. Each month, I'll bring you insightful interviews with key industry leaders, sharing success stories, highlighting significant events, and providing valuable resources to help you stay ahead of the curve. Whether you're a seasoned manufacturing professional or just starting your journey, Manufacturing the Workforce of Tomorrow is your go-to source for the latest news and trends in workforce development. So join me every month as we work together to build a stronger, more resilient manufacturing workforce. Let's get started. And today's guest for Manufacturing the Workforce of Tomorrow is not just a colleague that I enjoy working with, but a close friend. I would like to welcome Mr. Craig McAtee to our podcast today.
No, I'm so happy to be with you today and any day for that matter, but thanks for inviting me.
So Craig is the Executive Director of NCATC, the National Coalition of Advanced Technology Centers, and I have the pleasure of sitting on his board. But before getting into the association world, Craig has a background in economic development and workforce development, worked not just at colleges, but also worked in industry in senior leadership positions at Swagelok, and just has an amazing background. And one of my favorite things about you is you are a super tech nerd.
I am. I have been for all my life, and it gets worse as I get older.
Well, and then for anybody that doesn't know, it might be a music buff, Craig also has an amazing vinyl collection. So if you enjoy music and you're not connected with Craig, you should be, because he also has an amazing collection there. Craig, can you talk a little bit just the transition within your career to go from industry into the college, really working and understanding workforce development from both sides, and then joining NCATC?
Yeah, thank you. Just so the audience knows, I spent a quarter of a century in the 20th century at Swagelok, and I'm a recovering engineer, as I tell everybody. And that allowed me to have 7 different actual job functions with Swagelok as a young engineer all the way through plant management, and then our global e-commerce group for our distributorships across the world. That was a huge part of my upbringing and understanding about quality and managing people and all kinds of things. But then in the 21st century, I got hired at Cuyahoga Community College, and I had some of the best mentors like Dr. Jerry Sue Thornton, who was the president then, and my EVP of workforce. They trained me and took me really quick under their wing to understand what it is in education speak and workforce speak, and how it translated back to all the things I used to do. Now, one of the things I remember is that we would hire interns over the summer from 4-year colleges and some 2 years for engineering applications, and they'd work. And then after 2 or 3 years, we'd hire them because they were indoctrinated in our culture. They understood our products and design. So to me, it was like, that's what I want to do even deeper with machine operators and welders and technicians on the floor. And that became part of what I learned at Cuyahoga. And then I moved in, of course, after 7 years being there, being on the board for 4 years at NCATC. They needed a new leader, and I said, I'm going to throw my name in the hat. I'm ready for something new. And I was luckily hired in '07. So I've been doing this for 18 years, and it's really opened up my world to so many things. Government and education speak as well. So that's kind of.
And I think we're the lucky ones, because under your leadership, NCATC as an organization has really blossomed and grown and developed into this workforce development juggernaut of an association. And I really do think your leadership at the helm has been kind of tantamount in that, and the people that you've surrounded yourself with, because you have an amazing board. I mean, I shouldn't be saying that because I'm on the board, but I know that I sit in a room with people that are much, much smarter than me, and have great background. Can you talk a little bit about the power of the collaboration of NCATC member colleges? Because I think it's a game changer.
Yeah, and I appreciate you bringing up the board. I was remiss in saying that earlier, in that, we've surrounded ourselves with some of the best minds in the country, with a 15-member board, including 2 strategic partners. And thank you, Toni, for serving not once but twice on the board in your role. But yeah, I mean, we have presidents, vice presidents, deans, and directors mostly, and a couple faculty members who are chairs of their programs who have been on the board since I've been involved for almost 25 years now. And their passion and understanding about everything from teaching students, both incumbent workforce and the K through 12 pipeline, is second to none. And they've taught me every day something new. I was just on a call with Hawaii yesterday, and the PCAT group is working with the U.S. Navy on some of the new things they need to do to train not only the incumbent workers in additive manufacturing and welding and things, but also some future things with Industry 4.0. I think the collaboration is just, when you get these groups of people together and you have a topic or two that we're trying to solve or improve, the number of solutions that come out of that in collaborative approach is second to none. It's great. So yeah, I'm lucky.
And I think it's amazing because I roll back to probably 15 years ago when the Department of Labor was putting out community job-based training grants, and you're seeing like a school in Florida with North Carolina and Texas and Boston area. It's like, how did those schools all come together? And then you start to look at the NCATC member list and you're like, oh, they all met through NCATC and did a collaborative project, because I've never been in a room where networking happens like it happens at the NCATC conference. There's no hoarding of information. There's no like, this is our, we're gonna hold this. I think the biggest differentiator with NCATC member colleges is they say, we have been there, we have built this. These are the things we would do differently, and here's what we did really well. And I think that's a game changer when you have that level of, we've been here, we've learned this, and we'll share it with you.
You're spot on, as usual. I would tell you that one number thing that I say to everyone is, we do not want anybody to have to reinvent the wheel. And that network that you just described with our 150 plus colleges from Hawaii to Maine to Florida is second to none. And one of the objects that we did with our parent, ship, if you will, mothership in DC, the American Association of Community Colleges, which we've been a member of for 30 years or more, sitting on their workforce council, is in 2018, we proposed some work with some funding from them and others to help colleges understand what Industry 4.0 is going to be for them. Much like what we're doing with AI now, and that's another topic we'll talk about in a minute. But bottom line is, we got 7 or 9 colleges together across the nation and said, look, we're going to work with industry. By the way, we have 45 industry partners, which we'll talk about too, which are second to none in this world of working together collaboratively. And for a year, we spent together working and documenting best practices and a toolkit for not only educators and workforce professionals, but for industry and how they work together more effectively and efficiently on these topics. So yeah, that's one example.
And one of the reasons that I wanted to have you on as a guest is talking about the power of partnerships, because you did something significant a few years ago with really changing the dynamic of vendors to becoming strategic partners. And I think this was so intentional. And at my time, I was in a different role at that point in time, but then even opening up board positions. And I think it's really important that you don't look at vendors around a room when we're doing the conference. You look at strategic partners. Can you talk a little bit about that intentional shift and the fact that you correct people when they call us vendors on the phone as well, which I love?
I try to do that professionally and persistently with correcting people, especially the board members and leaders of our organization. But I'll go back to my days with Swagelok, as my role as a materials manager for several years. I worked on the supply chain of our tier 1, tier 2 suppliers, and we never called them vendors, we called them suppliers. And then when they became certified under our ISO processes and things, we became partners. And one of the examples I was taught back those days was, if you look at the old school version of what vendor means, we thought, look at the corner organ grinder with a monkey on his shoulder begging for money. That was a corner vendor. We don't want that image of anybody that we're working with, because they're really suppliers and partners. And I've carried that with me and amplified it even more, obviously, with educators working with industry, because they can't be just vendors. Otherwise, they're just one transaction away from not seeing each other again. And that's a huge piece of the puzzle is our strategic partners, which is one of the best is SME and Tooling U, as you know, for 20 plus years, are our partners. Every day we can call on you or FANUC or somebody else in our network and say, can you help us in Hawaii or Florida or Texas or whatever with this issue on experiential learning? And that's what we're all about. And so strategic partners, meaning we've strategically reached out to certain groups of organizations and said, we would like you to become a member of our organization for these reasons. And you're never going to be considered a vendor. So I hope that helped.
And I love it because I think this is really important. As associations look to grow, we need to shift. It's not the same it used to be. And we even see that in the SME with membership. We have to grow and develop and pivot and look at what does the audience need right now. So I just wanted to share that last year at the conference, we were at Gateway Technical College, and one of the keynotes was Microsoft about AI. And I know this is something you and I can get nerdy all day. Yep. But to have a leader from Microsoft talking about Copilot AI, how they've developed and the work that they've done for an hour, and then to say, oh, and by the way, we'll deliver all of this training for free to any educators that want it on how to really leverage AI. That is a partnership. I mean, people were like, oh, signing up, grabbing the QR code, super engaged in the conversation. But even the other strategic partners in the room were like, wait a minute, wow, this is really cool information. So I think you also see a lot of cross collaboration between your strategic partners, not even just colleges and strategic partners, but strategic partners working together as well. So can you talk a little bit about, we have to give a plug for the conference coming up at the beautiful Pima Community College. Can you talk a little bit about the goals of how the event is structured, including the fact we're doing these cutting edge industry tours, NDAs are being signed, citizenship has to be proved on some of these. But can you talk about the structure of the conference and why you think it's so successful?
Well, and again, we've evolved, as you know firsthand, because you've been involved with us for several decades, I think, or at least 1.5. We really
that makes me sound really old. I think it's been close to 2 decades, but that makes me sound really old.
It is, and you're not, and I'm not either, but I'm, whatever. But we every year we take a pulse and a survey of what people like, didn't like, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and we're very receptive to the bad and the ugly, making some changes. But about 10 years ago, we heard a lot of things that we hate. We have a lot of exhibitors and sponsors, which is grown, as you know, firsthand over the last decade or two. And they said, we hate being out in the hallway and not being able to be part of what you're doing in the big room or the breakouts. And so we made a conscious decision to make sure that the space that we were in for the main stage things and the dinners and the lunches and the breakfast, we were bringing in the perimeter of that room is the exhibit room. And they're engaged and immersed 24/7 wherever we are. They're there with us. And that's the expansion of what a strategic partner means to them. And they love it. Every time we meet with them, and you know this firsthand again, they say that is one of the best moves we've ever made. We wish all organizations we work with would do something similar. And so that's one of the pieces. But then we have them come in and they offer to do certain breakouts on certain topics. And we say, look, you can do that, but make sure you bring at least one, if not more, colleges or high schools with you on that presentation. So it's a best practice, a promising practice, and not a sales pitch. And they really understand that. And they abide by it, and they never make it a sales pitch, which is a negative thing for us. We want to make it a sharing of best practices. So that's kind of like it in a nutshell. I hope I answered your question.
Well, and I was going to say, I know there's years I skip out on the industry tours because it's like, oh, I've emailed to catch on this. I went last year, and it was Good Foods. Most people don't realize they private label a lot of food for like Trader Joe's, Costco. We got to eat dips for like an hour, but we also got to tour their facility. And I'll be really candid. It's all about changing perceptions because my understanding of food processing was that it was a little gross. Like normally when you go into those facilities, it's like, it's a little gross.
Yep.
Their facility was immaculate. I mean, it was astounding to me looking at their production process. The fact that they have produce come in and it is used by the end of the day was absolutely astounding. Can you talk about the selection process for industry tours? Because I know this is one that is you're very specific in what you're looking for.
Yeah, I mean, what we do with that, as you know, is making sure that the college has got a good relationship with whatever industry in their community that we're going to tour, so that we can link the audience that tours with what in this case this year, Pima Community College in Arizona is doing with Johns Mansfield or Raytheon or Arizona Optical. We got 5 industry tours, and we call them industry/innovation tours because we want the attendees, which are mostly from colleges and high schools across the nation, to understand what really looks like in the real world of technicians and engineers and workplace operators, so that they can take that experience back to their classrooms and labs and say, I saw this at Raytheon in Arizona and it blew me away, and I'm going to share with you what it meant to me so you can understand it. That's really what we've been doing for 2 decades, and it's extremely important. I remember a few years ago we were at a chocolate factory similar to the one you talked about, and we had to wear bunny suits and hair nets to make sure we were safe and clean in the tour. And it was just a great experience because we got to sample the chocolate at the end. So yeah, I can relate. But yeah, it's a great part of our conference, and very few other conferences do that kind of tour.
And I think one of the most powerful ways to talk about the partnerships that NCATC creates is your former board members, retirees from colleges throughout the country, and doing the MAP process to go in and help build expertise for colleges that are looking to expand, build new buildings, build new advanced technology centers. Can you talk a little bit about what we call the MAP process and how that works? Because I think that's also like a superpower of NCATC, and the fact that you have people that are retired that are still enjoying doing the work.
Yeah, that is really one of our best things that we can do, and we've done so many over the last decade. But we started with this 30 years ago. Part of our benefit to our members was, if you're thinking about building a brand new advanced technology center or updating your current one or refurbishing a building, that whatever, we want to come in and help you do that. And so I rely on past board members. Our bylaws don't allow current board members to get paid for anything that we're doing because you're volunteers. But after you're off the board, you're a resource. And half the board members say, I want to still be engaged. So we'll go out, and last one we did was in St. Louis Community College, and we work with the community college, the industry people, the chambers of commerce, elected officials, and we interview them for 2.5 days. We take copious notes of what they want, what they find really good about the college so far, what they'd like to see better, and what gaps we can close immediately, and then what the future looks like. And then we work with the architects to make sure the space is designed appropriately for 21st century learning. And so it's a big thing. But those past board members take on a big load with me as a team member to listen and amplify what the community's needs are, and then we document that. It actually, MAP stands for Member Assistance Program, but we actually deliver a roadmap report that gives them the 1 to 2 year plan, a 2 to 5 year plan, and then beyond, so they can have a forward-looking approach to what they need to do with that Advanced Technology Center. So that's great.
I cannot thank you enough for your time. I cannot thank you enough for sharing your expertise on powerful partnerships. And NCATC is really looking at a win-win-win, making sure the colleges, the strategic partners, and most importantly, industry is really thriving in regions throughout the country. So thank you for your continued leadership, expertise, and just work that you do to make the conference great every year and to keep this association moving in the right direction.
Well, thank you for your time and allowing me to be part of it today. And I will tell you, I couldn't do it without you and all the other board members and the colleges that represent what we're doing. It's a team effort. So thank you for being with me today.
That's a wrap for this episode of Manufacturing the Workforce of Tomorrow. Remember to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform to stay updated on all the latest trends and happenings in workforce development. Don't forget to visit our website at sme.org for more resources and information. Until next time, let's continue to build a stronger, more resilient manufacturing workforce together.